All right, so a private trust company, let's call them Ironwood Capital, right? It stepped in to pay a debt that someone else owed. So let's start there. So who was the original borrower? Well, they defaulted, and Ironwood, under a credit confirmation, it paid the outstanding amount. Now, here's the $1,000,000 question. If you step in and pay someone else's secured debt, do you step into the shoes of the original creditor? In equity, which is what I educate people on, right? The answer is yes. That's called equitable subrogation. Subrogation means I paid your debt, now I inherit your position. That's exactly what the court upheld. So originally the bankruptcy judge agreed. Ironwood paid the secured debt, so they should inherit the original lender's rights. Let's call that lender harbor trust under the first deed of trust, right? But then the higher court tried to say, no, you're just an unsecured creditor. So in other words, you pay the debt, but you get no lien, no collateral, no rights. Equity said, not today, man, not today. Why? Because letting that happen would be an unjust enrichment. It would reward the defaulting party, the one who carried no risk at the end of the day, and then it would actually punish the one who stepped up in good faith. Equity is about doing what's righteous and making everybody whole. So, equity did what it always does. It protected performance. It said Ironwood is subrogated. Now they stand where Harbor Trust stood. So, secured, even though they weren't the original lender. This is the quiet power of exclusive equity. Because it's like when you step in and perform, not argue, but perform, equity rewards that act. It actually transfers the rights to you. So let's break it down visually. Here's how subrogation flows in real time. So we'll call this like the Ironwood subrogation flow, all right? So the debtor gives a property lien as security for a loan. We do that every day. The creditor accepts that security, but holds it off the ledger. That's the part you didn't know. The debtor then defaults. Well, the loan remains unpaid. Ironwood Capital, as a third-party surety, steps in and pays the full debt. Now, that payment settles the ledger. The creditor is now made whole. But the original debt and collateral remain on the books. So, since Ironwood paid as a surety, equity now subrogates them and they inherit the collateral. They inherit the collateral, the lien, and the right to recover, the right to be reimbursed, all right? So the result of that is Ironwood is now in control of the asset, not because of a statute though, not because of a contract, but because equity says, don't punish the one who paid. That's the best way to look at it. And this is kind of like trust law in motion. So it's not about filing motions. It's about stepping in, performing, and actually invoke the remedy of equitable subrogation. So what's the takeaway? It's about stepping in, performing, and invoking the remedy of equitable subrogation, all right? So what's the takeaway? If you settle a secured obligation with clean hands, even on someone else's behalf, you can claim equitable subrogation. You're not a third party anymore, you're the secure party now. And that's how equity moves. Not on paper, but in action. It actually protects performance. It inherits positions. That is private remedy through subrogation, period. No other way to look at it. This is high level business that we are doing. Securities are often worth hundreds of thousands, millions, billions, trillions, like numbers you can't even fathom, all right? So conduct yourself properly, and I'd love to see you in class.